It's the first Sunday in June. We have single entry tournaments. We have special tournaments getting launched at other sites such as Underdog. DraftKings is firing on all cylinders with their single entry 3 max. Insane top heavy prizes on their $20 one. Drafters is here. It's time to start hitting these tournaments, hitting them hard. Let's start with a single entry today over on DraftKings.
1. Liftoff.
What's up, everybody? First question in the chat is, what single entry are we doing? I think we're going to do the $5 DraftKings single entry is the play this morning. I was looking at the two that I have available, which is, I have the $250, but I don't want to do that one quite yet. But the $5 and the $15 are sitting there, and the $5 is already about 25% full, and I think that the $15 is only 10% full. I won't do the pocket passer. I won't do the pocket passer right now because trying to fill that on a Sunday morning, I have a feeling we'd be sitting here waiting for quite some time to fill that specific tournament. Some of these 3 max and single entries, you got to sit there and wait a bit occasionally to fill them. But I think we can get the $5 single entry fill relatively quick. Hope everybody's having a great weekend. Let's get our screen all set up here so that we are good to go once we are in the draft. I'm always off to the side too much. I did an interview the other night and I had to sit over there because it was on Zoom, and now I need to move over here, but we'll get there. We'll figure it out. It's June. We are just starting to hit our early season stride. We're still in the first quarter, but that June 1st date hits, it's time to start making sure we're getting drafts in. I was firing a lot on DraftKings, and I thought this would be a good way to do one more DraftKings on the Sunday show and then kind of move on and do some other tournaments, probably the rest of June, either on Underdog or Drafters. And then we'll get back to DraftKings after that, unless they drop something that I just absolutely cannot resist. So I'm just going to jump into it now. Let's find this. It's the 100K huddle, $5 single entry. Let's go ahead and draft our team and jump in this lobby right now. Do we want to enter with crowns? No, let's just pay the $5 and do it that way. Let's see, what do we need? So we need 8 people. So let's go ahead and let's find 8 people for this particular draft. And we can start talking through the specifics of these single entries. And if this doesn't fill, then we'll make some adjustments, but we'll give it a few minutes to see if you guys want to jump in this $5 single entry. Fire your $5 single entry bullet on this. So let's go ahead and try to knock this particular one out. Yeah, that's kind of the problem, Deludo, is once you fire your single entries, they are gone, never to be returned, unless you win, and then your money gets returned. So I like the single entries because for me, single entries allows me to work off of doing whatever the hell I want to do. Like, not getting insanely crazy, but I think people get tethered to ADP even more in single entries because it's their only time they can fire that bullet. And for me, that's when I'm like, okay, well, what can I do? Not every single draft pick, but like here and there, where can I find different combinations? Where can I do sometimes different type of builds if things are allowed to open up? So that's what I really like with the single entry and the 3 max entries and stuff like that. Underdog just released the 6 max entry, which was a lot of fun. I fired all my bullets at that yesterday. Wasn't sure if any of those would be open today. Is it Lion or is it Ion the Dark? Let me know if that's an L or an I. I think it's an I. So Ion saying, loving the influx of Spike Week streams and uploads. Thank you, sir. It is best ball season, man. Morning, Zach. Good morning. Good morning. Ion. That's what I thought. I was close. But it does look like Lion. I'm not going to lie on this stream. Did you like that? It's Sunday morning. We got the punt in. We're good to go. We need 7 people. Let's get this thing filled. There's enough people watching. It's a $5 entry on DK. Jump in this draft with me. Let's get one of these single entries. We'll get some music going here in a second to really encapsulate the Sunday morning sicko stream. Let's start at the beginning. We build in. We get this nice flowing music, nice mood music. Thanks to Jesse Wilkins, DJ Double Take sent us a bunch of music to use on stream so that we don't have to use royalty-free regular music. We need 6 more in this draft. 6 more in this draft. I'm not going to start freestyling. I am far too old to be freestyling at 10 a.m. on a Sunday morning. And I don't think that's what anybody came here for. So Zach is scared of doing a single entry with us. Everyone is too smart. I got news for you. People that are doing single entries in the beginning parts of June are generally smarter crowd. The only good thing on occasion is you have to wait so long for these to fill occasionally that some people forget about them, myself included. Rashi or Jameson Williams, to me, that's easily Rashi Rice. Not even close. I like Jameson Williams on a majority of my teams, like build-wise, but to me, that's not even a close thing. We'll give this a few more minutes to see if we can get the other 6 entrants in this. If not, we will pivot, which I do not want to do. I wanted to do a single entry. But if we have to pivot, we will pivot. And I don't know what we'll pivot to. Maybe we'll fire one of our tickets at the $20. Not what I wanted to do. Kirk's in. Kirk, you got in that $5 single entry. Cool. If we get this filled fast enough, we might do a second draft too. I'd like to start firing. We might do a BBM if we can get through this fast enough. It's not looking like that's happening at the moment, but we need 5 more for this draft. We're not going to give up yet. We do not quit on this stream. We will sit here and we will bore everybody to death. We will tease them with the potential that I would freestyle, but that will never happen, especially on a spike. You get enough songs from me during the year anyways. You get the last 2 years, we got the week 17 shanty. So I give you guys enough music that I'm not going to freestyle on a Sunday morning. And I also woke up late for myself on this Sunday morning. Usually I'm up by like 6:30, 7. I bring Gotham, my dog, down to the pond to run around. I stayed up and watched the UFC fights last night. And might have been the worst card in recent. Not that I watch it all the time. I'm not a huge UFC stan. I like to watch it on occasion. But I went to a friend's house. We watched it last night. And it was one of the most boring cards I've ever watched in my life. The main event was good. But leading up to it, everything was... We did not enjoy that. Not a good UFC card. Probably will get the one at the end of the month if Conor McGregor does actually fight. I know he's old and, kind of washed, but soft spot in my heart for Conor McGregor for when he was at the top. He was always fun to watch, so I hate saying nostalgia purposes already, but that's kind of what happens with fighters, right? They just dissipate. We only need 4. We got enough people in here that there are 4 people that need to hit this $5 single entry. Cullen just jumped in. He's hoping his coffee kicks in. not used to drafting this early in the morning. It can be good and bad. Drafting early is good and bad. Usually I like it. The other day I was in a DraftKings because I was trying to get those tickets for the Millie, which as you can see on screen, we did get those. So I was firing I fire an early draft like every morning, like somewhere between 7:30 and 8 a.m. Eastern is usually when I'm in a draft to start my day. And DraftKings is usually, I don't want to say easy, but I just ran into a room that was like all sharps, and I had to pay attention a little bit more than I normally do in the morning. So, do we want to do this Jameson versus Rashi Rice argument right now, Deludo? So Deludo is saying, while we wait, that Jameson could be much better than his first 2 years with the ACL and suspension. Rashi could be a 0 for 6 to 7 weeks and then be the third option if Worthy and Hollywood have chemistry with Mahomes. Sure, lots of things could happen. But the 6 to 7 weeks thing, A, I don't think that's going to be his suspension. And B, if it's 6 to 7 weeks, I don't care. Right? 6 to 7 weeks, there's very limited amount of bye weeks in that time frame. When do bye weeks start this year? Week 4, week 5, something like that. So your roster is out there with the exception of Rashi Rice. We are playing these to win tournaments. Rashi Rice comes back and he's immediately going to, even if there is quote unquote chemistry with Hollywood and Worthy, it doesn't mean that Rashi Rice is coming back and riding the bench. Right? So I'm just not concerned about it. Like, it's whatever. He is where he's going. He's usually a 5th or 6th wide receiver. And if he comes back and does, what he did just last year, right? Where absolutely going to the moon with Rashi Rice coming back off a suspension after week 6 or 7. We only need 2 more for this draft right now. So I know we can get there. I know we can. We got OMG Godlike joining. So the Rashi Rice stuff, until he's suspended for the year, I'm just going to keep clicking his name. He's going to be my wide receiver 5 or 6. Usually my wide receiver 5 on a lot of teams. And I just feel like I have enough firepower on those squads to get through, and Rashi Rice can be a playoff hammer. And a lot of these contests, right? I think your conversation is a little bit more viable to have on drafters, because now you're talking about a potential dead roster spot for 7 to 8 weeks with bye week, if that is the case. But in tournaments that go to playoff format, there's 4 quarters of a season, right? Weeks 1 to 14 is 25% of each season. Week 15 is 25%, 16, you get the idea. So we're going to go Jameson Williams over Rashi Rice because he's going to miss half of a quarter of a season. You see what I mean? I know I'm Scott Steiner mathing it right now. But if it's cumulative, if you want to have that discussion, sure. I get it. We just need 1, guys. Why is Kelsey's ADP so different on DK? Because DK is where all those sharp drafters are, clearly. Right? I don't know. He just sometimes just guys rise up and they fall into these spots on different sites, and then they just kind of hang there. So I don't have a reasoning as to why, other than DraftKings drafters might like it. And we have the 101. Look at that. Hopping right into the 101. This is a single entry. You guys want to get crazy with a single entry? Do we want to do something wild? Do we want to get nuts? It'd be time to get nuts, right? So I'm not going to take CMC in this single entry. So so Kirk, I'm going to gift you CMC. You can have them. On a scale of 10, how nuts do we want to get to start this draft? Do we want to get really wild, or do we want to get mildly wild? We got up to no good. God, clicking on everything. Up to no good is pick 8. So Zach wants to go full send. He wants to get real wild in this draft. We can get wild. I'm going to just move my camera. We're going to do this the easy way so that I can sort of stay center framed here. What are you doing, DraftKings? All right, 30 seconds. Okay, I'm not going ETN 1 overall wild. That's not a thing that I'm doing. But we will scroll a little bit, and we will we'll have fun. You guys will be excited that I got the 101 because it will open up some stuff for the other people at the beginning of this draft. Who do we put on the cover of this? Debo, right? I'm not taking Debo 101. You know what? For this $5 single entry, we are men of conviction. We believe in our takes. We're not scared to say when we're wrong, but when we believe in something, we'll do Bijan 101. And we'll build a Bijan 101 team. We'll flip him to the other side of the board right away, get some different combinations with Bijan. Now, when you do this, I think there is a very specific way to do this, right? Like, I think when you're scrolling down early, and we'll talk about it with our next 2 picks, that there is a very specific way you should be doing something like this. And it doesn't mean just from the 101. It means from any spot on the board. So I will do the Bijan. I did not. I just sent my lineups. How am I not logged in? All right, we'll log in. I'm logged in. Do you see this? Do you see this, B. Kurt? We are logged in. Let's see if we can get it to load. See if we can get our little draft hacker to load here. All right, we'll log out and we'll log in. That's what we'll do. Let's hope it doesn't show my password on screen. Give us a second. We're not going to go nuts trying to fix it, but we did have it logged in. I did just send my lineups. I'll try one more time after our next 2 picks. Maybe I'll try it now on a different tab is what we'll do. Okay. What is going on? I can't even log out right now, B. Kurt. That's fun. We'll fix that next week. What do we got going on here? So CMC, Tyreek Hill, Jefferson, CeeDee Lamb at the 105. Chase. Amon-Ra, relatively normal start to this draft. Garrett Wilson, A.J. Brown, and then we got the guy on the turn. See where he goes with his 2 picks. Will it be Marvin Harrison? Did he register for this tournament early and fall asleep? Also a possibility. Goes Jahmyr Gibbs. See if he goes Marvin Harrison as well. But we will talk through the intricacies of pulling a guy up early and what you should be doing in that case, or what I think you should be doing. You can be doing whatever you want to do. At Cullen got Lamb at 5. Kirk is happy that he got CMC at the 102 because it's a sharp room. Yeah, these single entries that fill on a Sunday morning are probably going to be sharper rooms, is what I would say. So, did This 12 hole go on auto draft is a question. Does not look like it. Looks like they just took their time with both picks. See that he does get Gibbs, Harrison, goes Javante, Mike Evans. Mike Evans has been tougher for me to get on DK. He goes a lot higher in general than he does on other sites. So kind of been maneuvering around Mike Evans, not on purpose, but I've decided at the moment that my Evans exposure is probably going to be on other sites for now. We got Pretty Ricky starting with a Breece Hall, Saquon start here. That Amon-Ra Drake London start's pretty fun. All right, let's see what this Jamar Chase drafter does. And then we will check out our picks. That Chase Nico start is nice. I've gotten that quite a bit. Olave is like my favorite second round pick for some reason right now. I've been grabbing a lot of Olave starts. And we'll be on the clock here in a second. Ooh, Jefferson Kelsey start. Interesting. But Kelsey's ADP is much higher on DK. So if that's what you're looking to do, sometimes you gotta do that. We're up here in 2 picks. We'll go back to the board after we see what this Tyreek Hill drafter does. They go Ayuk. So we are going to be on the clock here in a second. And we see Waddle go, which sucks because what I wanted to do was I wanted to do Debo and Waddle. Do we want to do something completely different on this? Let's grab Achane. Let's grab Kyron Williams, something I haven't done this year in this single entry. Let's see what we can do with a hyper fragile. Let's grab Bijan, Devon Achane, Kyron Williams, and see what we can build out from here. Don't be sorry, Kirk. I'm okay with it. But if Waddle didn't go, we probably would have went Waddle Debo, right? That would have been the play there. But something we can do to just be completely different in a single entry versus the rest of our thing is we can see what we can build with a hyper fragile. Will we like it? Probably not. But I'm willing to experiment here and there. I've been wanting to experiment with hyper fragile in a different sense. Anyways, I did not want to do it with the first 3 rounds. It was not the way I was planning on doing some sort of hyper fragile build. But we'll try it out with this one where we can get Bijan, Devon Achane, Kyron Williams, and see what we can build out from here. It's probably not going to be great. We're going to have to really, really try some different things here. And we're going to be very, very dialed in on what we do with the rest of our picks. Sort of lends itself to being one of those builds where you shouldn't have wasted picks in the first place, but we can't have any wasted picks when we start like this, especially this year in drafts, right? I wouldn't be shocked if this is the only time I do this specific type of hyperfragile. There are builds that I want to try out doing hyperfragile with 3 RBs through the first 6 rounds. Is something I've been looking at on draft boards as they go through. But this way doesn't feel like it's going to be great. But this is a single entry. We're allowed to think outside the box on single entry tournaments. And that's what we're going to do. I think a lot of people think that Henry's going too high, Kirk. I think that is a I don't want to say common consensus, but I think it is a thought that people do have. That being said, that whole scenario that I was just talking about with going hyperfragile early, Henry might be, he's not like my primary target for that, but I think you could go hyperfragile with starting 2 wide receivers is kind of like where I'm leaning towards that. So I think it's something you could look into with the landscape. If you're zigging and zagging at the right moments, I think you can come out with a good draft that way. The flip side is you are pushing off, you have to push off elite tight end and super elite quarterback in order to do that. I don't think you can take a quarterback till the maybe Kyler, Dak Prescott range, if that's the way you want to build. Something I want to experiment with in the future. Some of the cheaper buy-in stuff is great for that. So, but we'll experiment today with a single entry with this hyper fragile build that we have going on. I'm going to just hold this for 1 second, and I'm going to try to fix my overlay. Here's my game plan here. So let's see if we can do that. I was doing some stuff on my computer yesterday, and I am probably the problem, is what I would say. Yeah, it's saying that I'm not logged in, but it won't let me log out either. That's fine. We'll be okay. It's a single entry, so that is okay. All right, we'll get back to this. Stroud in the 4th round, huh? All right, I see it. Well, I think he knew that if he wanted Stroud, it wasn't coming back because we had a Nico Tank Dell. So if he wanted Stroud, he had to get him in the 4th. Frosty made us starting with the double Bengal, double Texans wide receivers. See Zay go off the board here. We're going to have some interesting decisions to make of our own in a second as we come up on this hyperfragile build that we're doing. Start looking at our player pool here. Do we want to go full send on this? I'm going to take Kirk. I'm just trying to figure out what I want to do with this second pick. No, I think we're going to go Kirk. Son of a bitch. Let's grab Trey McBride. I think that sets some stuff up. I know we are really pushing the envelope on what we want to do with this team. But I think going Trey McBride is going to allow me to do some stuff with the next 2 picks. And I think we're going to set this team up in a very, very dangerous way. Yeah, Pickens has been going a lot higher lately. From what I noticed, he's been going in the 4th. here and there. The idea was either McBride or Terry McLaurin here. Those were my two picks. McLaurin's probably the proper way to play it, I would say. But kind of want to push the envelope a little bit with this team. Let's do something that we're not used to doing. Let's get uncomfortable. The only way to get better sometimes is to put yourself in uncomfortable spots and try to work your way out of it and see if you are even able to work your way out of it. Only 2 out of 12 advance, right? So can we build a team that advances out of this structure with only getting one wide receiver through 5 rounds? Does not feel great. Feels gross. Yeah, I mean, I think he would have waited up to no good till the 5th. But the point remains the same, right? Like, if you wanted Stroud there, you had to get him there. I personally would have pushed him because I don't think you need Stroud, especially when Lamar and other quarterbacks were still there. I would have just, I would have pushed and built other things. But if that's who you wanted, man, you knew you had to get him there. So totally understand. I understand. We are having fun. We are drafting teams that we want. Getting the Stroud-Diggs combination works out quite well. I mean, I just drafted 3 running backs and a tight end in the first 5 rounds. So I'm that guy right now. So my talking ability about other people's teams might be questionable with this particular draft. But I think we can navigate it. I think we can do some fun things with this team. We are at the turn picks here. Man, it feels like a holiday weekend, doesn't it? It feels like we should have tomorrow off. Let's write a petition. Let's let everyone know that this is going to be Hyper Fragile Monday, where anyone that drafted a hyper fragile team over the weekend gets a free day off of work. That's the promotions I want DraftKings and Underdog and Drafters to run, right? Where if you draft a certain type of team within a certain window, we will make sure that your company gives you the day off from work. That's what we want. We want to sleep late. We want to draft teams. We want to eat good food. I think it's in the Constitution. Someone look that up. If that would have to be an amendment. So when was the last amendment? 1990, 1991? It's been a while. I think it's time for a new amendment, and it should include us being able to have a day off for drafting best ball teams. I think that is what America was built on. Our forefathers had the foresight about best ball and what we were going to do with it. All right, so we are coming back up on the clock here. Got 2 picks in front of us. Calvin Ridley goes right before us. David Montgomery, which is good because I wanted Godwin. Definitely one of the picks I wanted. Who else is here? I think I want Hopkins for this team. I think that's what we're going to do. We're going to draft Hopkins, who I think works relatively well with this team. And I think we can do more along these lines as we go forward. But I'm with it. I'm with it for now. See Kittle. We see that Diddy goes double elite tight end, which is fun. Let's look at that team. McCaffrey, Waddle, Debo, Keenan Allen, Mark Andrews, David Montgomery, George Kittle. So Montgomery is his bring back for his 49ers stuff. So that's a bit fun. It's a fun starting team there. We do see that Pretty Ricky is on auto pick. So that is another thing with these single entry. I know that we had to wait for, I think, 8 people, but these DK single entries take a long time to fill. I wouldn't be shocked if Pretty Ricky registered and either fell asleep or forgot about this team. Jose is in this draft. He's B-Boyed with the Kyle Pitts team, Lamar. Very cool. A normal type of team that I would draft. 0 RB. Rob is saying that Rob B is saying that feels like elite tight ends this generation's must have early QB of last season or season. To an extent, I understand the thought process and I agree to an extent. I think it's different in the sense that the entire tight end landscape has changed this year in terms of draft position, where your elites have gotten pushed down, but your bottom tier tight ends have gotten pushed up. So we have what I've been calling like the crunch, where your elites have come down, but your we'll just say garbage tight ends have come up. So it almost feels better to take the draft capital and get the elite, because there's only a few tight ends in the back end. Like last year, punt tight end was the play, right? There was just so many that you could take in those late rounds. And you were right. Like Laporta was there for a long time. Ferguson, like all these guys, they were like, well, we know they have a role. We know that they're going to do something. So the difference is last year, elite quarterbacks, the elite of the elite quarterbacks moved up and the rest of the market stayed the same. So that's kind of the difference between the two. But these are the things we're going to be seeing every year, where draft landscapes are going to highly alter from position to position and what people are doing. The market has gotten, quote unquote, more efficient. So draft prices are better. We've seen the wide receivers move up. We've seen the running backs drop down. And we're getting to this point with tight ends where I know that on this site, particularly, Kelsey does go early. And on Underdog, Laporta goes early. They're sort of like outliers in a sense, but the rest of the elites, we're getting them 5th, 6th, sometimes 7th round. So when you're already invested so much in other positions, you can take those elite tight ends. It feels like the play this year to me, personally. So that's the way I'm playing it. So the auto drafter does get Kyler, which is someone we would have looked at if he pushed. Coming back up on the clock here in a second. The double Bengals drafter did get Joe Burrow to complete that stack. We see Brock Bowers going here in the 8th round. We're going to be up on the clock here in a second. G Cool taking the entire 30 seconds. And we got Diddy on the clock here. Taking Brock Purdy. We're going to look at what we can do. This is why this type of build is just absolute garbage in these rounds. So we're going to take JSN for sure. So let's just start him. Figure out if there's something else we want to do. We're not going to take an RB yet. I don't think I want to. We're going to have to take another wide out And who provides the most upside of these wideouts? God damn it, it's Mike Williams, which makes me want to. We're going to do it. Don't tell anybody we drafted Mike Williams because it feels gross. So through 9 rounds, we went Bijan, HN, Kyron Williams. Christian Kirk took another detour for Trey McBride. Chris Godwin, DeAndre Hopkins, JSN, Mike Williams for our 5 wide receivers so far. We've pushed quarterback for the moment, which I'm okay with. Yeah, Andrews is one of the best picks in the draft, in my opinion. There's 2 guys that I really like. If we get this done in time and we go over to Underdog, we'll do a bonus BBM draft because why not? But Andrews is a guy I can't stop clicking. Zach Charbonnet, which I won't get him in this draft because of structure purposes, but Zach Charbonnet is a guy that I just cannot stop clicking in drafts. So there's some values out there, especially at tight end. I think Andrews is just an absolute slam dunk this year, personally. I should probably put the draft board up, huh? You would think that I am streaming for my first time here. It is running back round 9, where you start seeing all these guys we like: Najee, Pollard, Javante Williams. I've been flirting with Chubb a little bit lately, trying to figure out that situation. I don't love it. He's old. His leg is essentially shredded. So those are all bad signs. But when he falls a little bit, I've been taking Chubb for certain 0 RB builds. But I think he has to fall. I think I need him to kind of do that in order to take him. My favorite is the blurb on, I think it's on Underdog, for Nick Chubb, where it's like, he's running on land again. Okay, good. If he's running underwater before running on land, then I'm drafting him because that means he's a superhero. And then we want Nick Chubb if he can run underwater. So if you get any blurbs about Nick Chubb running underwater, please send them to me and we will draft him at a high clip. Or if he's running on air. If you see him running and he's just hovering and running, then we'll take him as well. Because again, superhero, and we draft superheroes. Pretty Ricky, the auto drafter, has now gotten 3 quarterbacks, including Patrick Mahomes, Kyler Murray, and Jared Goff. So things we need to be cognizant of. There is an auto drafter in this draft, right? We need to make sure we see this stuff. Likely is crushed in multiple years that Andrews has gone out, right? So I like Likely. He's a late round target for me. But he's still not Mark Andrews. And Mark Andrews is still young in his prime years. I don't think he infringes on Andrews at all this year. If anything, maybe they try to run a lot more 2 tight end sets to get Likely on the field. Yeah. Can't run on ice, Rob. But I think, and I'm a Likely stan. I think people that have been here for a while know that I'm a Likely stan. But I understand that Likely's value is really 30% standalone and 70% based off of just absolute upside of contingent upside. I think I want Lawrence, but let's look at our wideouts here. All right, let's grab Lawrence. And how do I want to play this? And let's grab Wicks and shoot for the moon with Dontavian Wicks for wide receiver 6. So we do get a Lawrence Christian Kirk stack. We have the bring back with Hopkins there. That wasn't even like fully planned, just kind of one of those things that has worked out with this specific build that we like. So no problem drafting Likely is the synopsis on that. If you want to go with the cliff notes, Likely good, Mark Andrews good, both good. Likely good without Andrews. Andrews still good with Likely. No Lamar, both bad. Tyler Huntley gone, I think. Signed with someone else. Or did he resign? Who knows? Who cares? We want Lamar there. We're drafting them for Lamar. Is the game plan this year. To backup quarterbacks, unless we are talking Superflex, then I think there is occasions, certain situations to draft backups in Superflex tournaments. I just kind of peeking up. I think for this hyper-fragile team in the vein that we started it, I don't think this team's turning out too bad. I think it's fine, honestly. I think getting Trevor Lawrence as QB1 in the 10th round is fine. One of the things I would have tried to do if we took McLaurin was try to get Jaden Daniels at that particular point. Yeah, I think this is also, DeLuto is bringing up that Andrews is only 28. Seems like he's been around forever. I think that's what people forget. I think people are making Mark Andrews out to be Kelsey's age, almost like they're pairing them together. And they're just not. Andrews is 28 years old. He's not a running back. He's a tight end. 28 is fine for a tight end. I think he's going to be okay. I'm just fine with it. Like, I just think that Andrews we're bored. We've done Mark Andrews every year for the most part of BBM. BBM 2, he was expensive. Yeah, because BBM 2 was the year that was he expensive that year? If he wasn't expensive, he was expensive the next year. I think BBM 2 was the year. Pretty sure that was the year I made the finals with Mark Andrews on my tight end, but so did everybody else. So it just feels like he's been around forever. We also draft so much now that I think that names just become more ingrained in us. Like they just stay with us, so we feel like they've been around longer. All right, music's intensifying, so we have to make some really good picks with rounds 12 and 13. Got to find some good value, some good players to add to this roster. Can we do it? Are we capable? We're on the clock. We're going to go back to wide receiver. We are going to grab Gabe Davis. And what pick are we at? 145. And we're going to grab Jalen Poke. So we'll double stack Lawrence. We'll grab Jalen Poke for some rookie upside. And we are now at a 1-3-8-1 build. So we are really hammering wide receivers with this build. We do see that G Cool has gone on auto draft as well. Something to be cognizant of, that we have 2 auto drafters in this. But after going hyper fragile, we've really hammered the wide receiver position. So we do see that The 11 hole, legalized at 420, has a 1-3-7-1 build, which is similar to ours. But they started with 3 wide receivers, which is A.J. Brown, Davante Adams, DK Metcalf. They got Jalen Hurts. They started their 3 running backs with Kenneth Walker, Evan Ingram, James Conner, and Zach Moss. And this is kind of what I was talking about earlier, where I don't know if these are the exact backs that I want, but if like you like James Conner and Zach Moss, like I think maybe we need to do this around earlier. That's, you know, the semantics of this, but I think you can hyper fragile it much later in drafts now, where you can start in like round 3, right? Like if you wanted to start Pacheco as it, go Pacheco, Kenneth Walker, and then even, what do we have coming back here? He could have had James Cook or David Montgomery. Maybe start in the 3rd round. I don't know. I think you can do some hyper fragile stuff if you plan it out properly. Or even starting with one of the 1st round running backs, going a couple wide receivers, and then hitting like that 4th and 5th round for the other 2 backs. I think that hyper fragile, while adding some pieces at the end, like I still want to add a running back here or 2, right? Especially on DK, where I have 20 rounds to draft with. A little tougher to do on underdog. I don't agree with this. That Kincaid seems like he's the tight end, the best chance to blow his ADP out of the water. His ADP is already high. He didn't do much during his rookie season, but just because we have the vacated targets. I like him. I'll take Kincaid in terms of, you know, like I think it's fine to grab him. I don't think he's going to blow his ADP out of the water, though. Sorry, Colin. Sorry that I took poke. I've had a Eckler discussion. So if you are in the Spike Week Discord, we do the lab every Tuesday. And I've gotten deep into my Eckler thoughts in the lab. So the lab is a thing where we do basically a Zoom call with people from the Spike Week Discord. It's generally myself, Eric Vinefor, Hackers usually in there, and a bunch of people from Discord. And we're just talking game theory and stuff. And I talked about Eckler, and I wanted to be in on Eckler. I was looking for reasons to be in on Eckler, and I couldn't make it happen. I just couldn't figure out how to make Eckler happen on my rosters. Okay, I think I know how I want to continue to do this team. So I want to grab Sinnott for my 2nd tight end. I think that's fine. And I think we're going to grab Roman Wilson here as another wide receiver. How many picks do we have left? We still have 5 picks. We're locked up at tight end. We're good with that position. I think this team is going to turn out exactly how I would want it in terms of structure for hyperfragile. I mean, if we're going to get into tight ends with the best chance of blowing their ADPs out of the water, it's Jaan Johnson, right? From New Orleans, who is severely undervalued right now. He's the best late round tight end pick. He has single game upside, unlike a lot of the guys down in this range. That is, I think I think I'm grabbing low hanging fruit. If we're talking about the elites, that's a whole different question. Right. I think the Fant thing's overblown. I'm grabbing Fant at a very little rate. I understand the offense is changing a bit. I think this Noah Fant trap that a lot of people are falling into is egregious. If you're doing punt tight end and want to grab 3, by all means, but I mean, at that point, you're just, you're searching for anything, but Noah Fant is not a target for me. if they don't overuse Taysom, like in terms of a tight end. If you think that he's just going to line up at tight end, that's not how the Saints have used him historically. Like, he does play tight end, but he also moves to the backfield. He shifts. Jaan Johnson is clearly there, passing down all around tight end in New Orleans. He's my favorite late round guy is Jaan Johnson, and I don't grab enough of him. It's actually a leak that I've been trying to fix a bit. And that's got nothing to do with him being the best tight end week 17 last year. That week just in general shows the upside that he has. We're talking about the Saints, who we don't like as an offense, but as Eric will tell you, Derek Carr tied CJ Stroud for the most 300-yard games. So they do air the ball out a bit. And we do like Olave, but like other than Olave, what do you love on this offense? You don't love Rashid Shaheed. You like him for the same reason that we like Jaan Johnson. Just the single game upside is pretty good. What is Tushu doing? Just, grabbing Bryce Young and Sam Darnold. They have any other quarterbacks? They have Josh Allen. Intriguing, I guess. Intriguing picks. Were you looking to grab Bryce Young? We see Levis. We see Daniel Jones go. We're about to be on the clock. Derek Carr goes, which is great for us because we are going to double click QB as well, but we're going to do it with Justin Fields and Drake May. So we are going to make this a 3 QB build. We're done with QB. We still have 3 picks left in a 3-3-9-2 build. We get Trevor Lawrence. We have Drake May to go with Jalen Pope. We have Justin Fields to go with Roman Wilson. I think we have some extreme upside potential here with these guys. We did not get a Chief yet. Olaf, Noah Fant, 5th-year breakout. I get the idea, Downs. He said that he's heard some interesting takes on Jelani Woods, who does feel viable on the 20-round sites, especially with AR teams. Sure. We've done the Jelani Woods thing. Hasn't really worked out for us. They're a big tight end by committee there. They don't really utilize them the way we would like them to. For certain builds, sure. Like we're punting 20th round. We're just looking for upside, right? So I get that. You want to take him with some AR team? Sure. 3 tight end late round, 3 late tight end build, or even you grab Trey McBride, you have AR 15. You're like, you know what, 20th round, absolute garbage. I only have 1 tight end. Let me grab Jelani Woods. Sure. He's just not a target for me. I won't have many, if any, Jelani Woods teams. I'm just not targeting tight ends on Indy. Indy's actually an enigma of a team for me because I like Downs. And I like Downs. AR-15 goes in a range that I don't love taking him, which is something I've been introspectively trying to figure out if I should be taking more of AR-15 than I do. The answer is probably yes. but it doesn't feel right. That's my analytical side. It doesn't feel right. So I don't love it, but I am trying to open myself up to more AR-15. It's just tough because all the stuff around it. I don't want Pittman. I'm fine with AD. I like Josh Downs. I'm not grabbing Jonathan Taylor at cost, really. So that's some of the stuff that we're thinking through on these. Oh, we are on the clock. Let's draft some players. Clyde Edwards-Helaire going sucks because that was somewhere we were going to go. Just build out this full Jacksonville thing. And grab Tank. Sure. Let's grab Tank as our fourth RB. We're done at QB. We're done at tight end. Is there wide receivers that we like? No. We don't like any of them. But what we will do is grab Brenden Rice. Just to have another rookie on the squad. It is a bring back for our Patriot stuff as well. That gets us 10 wide receivers. And we're at a 3-4-10-2 build. I know we're done at QB. I know we're done at tight end. Fine with this. Fine with Tank to build off this Jacksonville thing we did. We have our bringbacks for our two main stacks. We would have grabbed CH here, but someone in our stream, Diddy3667, decided to grab CH, which is fine. Right there. Yeah, I like Kincaid. Your statement was he has the opportunity to fully be the best tight end pick on the board, and he's already going high. So in order for him to be the best tight end pick on the board, he has to absolutely crush, right? Like he has to fully crush. You can say has the opportunity to be the best elite tight end in his range, right? That's a different argument. Like, and I fully agree with that. But you're saying that he has the opportunity to be the absolute best tight end on the board overall, and he's already priced in at that. Is my point. So I think we're arguing semantics between the two of us on this one, sort of. But I just think that that's the way we want to look at that when we're making that argument. Yeah, Laporte is going a lot higher on Underdog. I think that everyone's telling you that, like all the content that I've heard, everyone's saying that Laporte is overpriced right now. And that he's one of the worst tight end picks on the board. And that's not liking Laporta. That's just he's overpriced, right? So we can't base best pick on the board over someone else that's overpriced. Laporta is not the argument here, right? The argument is the discussion was the best tight end pick on the board. And your best tight end pick on the board is probably going to come from someone back in this range, always, for any position. Good. This is a good way to wrap it up. Everyone from Laporta to Pitts are already priced to have the tight end one in their range of outcomes. Put that perfectly, Doans. We'll get through this draft. I'll recap my team real quick, and then we'll jump over to Underdog, and we will fire a BBM because I want to get some BBMs in. So we'll do a two draft stream today. We haven't done I don't think we've done a Sunday Sickos 2 draft stream yet. So we might as well kick off June with one. That means that we're not going to like go through and fully roast teams like we like to do sometimes. We're going to have to just get into that next one. Oh, let's scroll down. And let's take Jawar Jordan, our favorite pick in the 20th round. Let's look at our team real quick. So we drafted from the 101. We flipped the build, and we really flipped the build. We went Bijan Robinson, Devon Chan, Kyron Williams to get this hyper fragile draft with some back end RBs as well to make this 3-5-10-2 build. After that, we went Christian Kirk, Trey McBride, Chris Godwin, DeAndre Hopkins, JSN, Mike Williams, Trevor Lawrence, Dontavian Wicks, Gabe Davis, Jalen Polk, Ben Sinnott, Roman Wilson, Justin Fields, Drake May, Tank Bigsby, Brendan Rice, Jawar Jordan. Feels like a team that could finish first or 12th. We like that. Jose is still upset that he did not get Demontez Walker. Let's go to Underdog, where I think I'm going to have to deposit. So we'll jump in. I'm going to just remove the screen for 1 second. We're getting this thing where it's not actually logging me in, where we're just spinning on securely logging in. So hopefully that fixes itself in a second here. Let me just try this one more time. I don't know what this is all about. Sometimes I have this with Underdog. We're logged in now. Oh no. I have more money in my, like, not that I have a lot of money in my account, but I have more money in my account than I wanted. Did one of my drafts get thrown out from yesterday? Did I miss one? What do we got here? I wanted to max the shit, did I not max that tournament? The $6 tournament from yesterday? Well, that sucks. That was supposed to be a thing. I'm not happy about that. I think one of my, what were they called? Were they the bull? I don't know. Something. Whatever the $6 tournament was yesterday, I think one of mine got thrown out. That sucks. All right. Trying to figure out how much I want to put in. Let's just make it an even 100. And then we will fire this draft. I've also had a problem depositing on mobile. I have no problems on desktop, but mobile's been a problem. Okay, we are going to jump into a Best Ball Mania draft as well here. Wow, I just completely took the screen away. Who am I? Oh, because I deleted it because I'm dumb. Let's jump into a BBM. We need 5 for this BBM, which I'm sure will fill quick enough. We're up in here. Make sure we are logged in, which we are. Still firing through these chihuahuas that we slow drafted. Where's my draft? There it is. And we're drafting from the 106 spot on this one. Man, I don't know what happened to... All right, so we are signed in so that we can see some exposure on this. Actually get our draft hacker on this bad boy. Cullen's right in front of me. Cullen is Biff Tannen. Any other names we recognize in here? 37% Jamar Chase. This is my slate percentage, by the way. This is like all my tournaments. I need to, as we get a little deeper into BBM, I'll make sure that it's just my BBM exposure, but this is just my slate percentage. So all of the tournaments we've done this slate. We got Delodo in the 3 spot. He's in the chat as well. As you can see, I still have my CMC Tyreek fade going in underdog. I've loosened that fade on CD. We are just smashing Jamar Chase teams right now, though, at a high clip. Jefferson, I need to make sure I'm getting more of, is a thing that I will say needs to happen more. Haven't grabbed any Jahmyr Gibbs on underdog either. I'll pull the board up after my next pick. I'm just kind of looking at some exposures here. So we see CMC, Lamb, Hill, pretty standard draft so far. I'm sorry if we do another Bijan team. Oh, we know, Mr. Grapefruit. We have been in these DK streets for quite some time. But thank you for the warning. We're over on underdog now, though. We've already done our DraftKings draft. We're over on underdog. Monra goes. I think this is a good time for us to get a Justin Jefferson team at the 106. We do want that exposure up a bit, so let's go ahead and do that. We'll grab Justin Jefferson. Yeah, Gibbs is priced pretty high. I understand it. Second year breakout stuff. Really good player. He's just tough for me to click on underdog. And that back end of the first round, I always like to do different things as well. So, haven't been getting a lot of Gibbs by any means. I'm going to just run and grab a water after our next pick out of my fridge. It'll take me 2 seconds. So when you see me get up and run, it's not because I hate my team. It's not because I'm scared to continue drafting. It's because I drank all my coffee this morning and now I need an agua. All right, we see the 12 hole going, Taylor and Barkley. Interested to see how that build turns out. I also don't have any Saquon Barkley, Jonathan Taylor. So just guys that I don't have currently. And probably won't have much of throughout this season. You got the fun build on DK. We're probably going to do something more traditional in this underdog draft, is what I will say, than we did on that last one. All right, we're coming up on the clock here. Harrison falls to 17. Olave goes, which is sad because we like Olave quite a bit. I think we're going to grab Debo here. Mike Evans exposure really 0% here as well. Intriguing. All right, let's grab Debo. Wow, I have 3% Javante Adams. That must have been a auto click. All right, I'll throw the board up. I'll be right back. Why the Adams hate? I just don't believe in the Raiders this year overall. I know that doesn't mean that Adams can't pop off, but Davante Adams is what now? He's 31, going to be entering 32 in December. Can still be fine. We're talking a second round pick, like in comparison to like someone around his age, Hopkins, who I can get later, on a team that probably has to throw quite a bit. I just think the Raiders are setting themselves up to be a complete disaster again this year. Minshew's probably fine for him. If you like Adams, I get it. I'm not going to go into extreme Adams hate like I did last year, but I'm not going to be taking him. I like Nico. So Up to No Good's asked me what's with the Debo love over Nico, Achane, Laporta, Evans. I definitely like Nico over Debo. This was more an exposure thing for me. I'm trying to get my Debo exposure up a little bit. My Nico exposure is already creeping around 20%, which I want it to be anyways. So I will be getting more Nico as well. These are actually my three favorite picks in this range. I love grabbing Nico, Debo, Chris Olave, Drake London. I love a lot, but you got to grab him earlier. So there's that. I'm just not in on Laporta at the price for the most part. And Achane is fine, but that's just not the way I want to build out this team right now. So what I would like to get here is Devonta Smith. Although every time I've drafted, although I don't have a lot of Justin Jefferson teams, so that skews these numbers. I'll explain what my numbers are here in a second that you see for percentages. But we're going to grab Davante Adams, who I really like as a third round wide receiver. So my percentages on my screen, the first percentage is my slate percentage. So what I've drafted these guys on Underdog as a whole. My next ones are my combination with my first round pick. Sorry, I missed one. My second percentage is with my first quarterback selected. So until I draft a quarterback, that's going to be 0. And then I have the percentage with my round 1, round 2, and round 3. So what you're going to see on those last 3 spots is my percentage drafted with Jefferson, Debo, and Devonta Smith. The Justin Jefferson numbers are going to look a little skewed because my percentage for him is a little bit lower. That's why you're seeing like 50, 100, 75%, right? Because I don't have many Justin Jefferson teams on Underdog yet, which is a crime in some states. But that's why it's like 50, 100, 75. When you look at this 33%, I have a lot more Devonta Smith teams. So that number is more meaningful at the moment, and they'll become more meaningful as the season progresses and I draft more teams. But I was really firing on DraftKings during May to get the incentives. I think this is my 11th or 12th BBM team. So we're going to be playing catch up a little bit in June on BBM. I'm going to be putting DraftKings to the side a tad, which was always the plan anyways. And I like doing drafters here and there, but I really like hammering drafters late in the season. And let's get back to our board here. We see the 12-hole grab a naked Jalen Hurts, George Pickens, sort of interesting. Lamar goes there. So we have Jefferson, we have Debo, we have Devonta Smith right now. Someone was pointing out the 2-hole with CD, Devonta Adams, Malik Neighbors. Also fun. See Mahomes, Lamar, QBs. We talk about DraftKings loving QBs, but Underdog has been pushing some of these QBs up as well. We are back on the clock here in a second. Let's grab T. Higgins. So as you can see with T. Higgins, I have 13% for the slate, but I have not drafted him at all with my first or second round pick yet. So, although I have a lot of T. Higgins, I don't have him with Jefferson or Debo yet, and I have a lot of Debo. So it's interesting that I don't have a T. Higgins with Debo stack yet. It's okay that I don't have him with Jefferson, but that's just kind of the things that I'm paying attention to make sure I don't miss certain combinations of players that I want. Very early, it's not something that I'm taking with a lot of, not putting a lot of thought into it on June 2nd, but a month from now, when we have a lot more teams and we're starting to look at our combinations, we're going to do that stuff. Spurious News is saying much different start from the DK draft. Fun dynamic. Yeah, I like to try to do some different builds here and there. I mean, you're going to see a lot of 0 RB teams being built on streams this year. And that includes myself, right? But you're going to see other streamers doing a lot of these builds as well. I just want to make sure that I'm mixing it up enough that I'm trying other things in certain spots. Did I love going hyper fragile with the RBs? I know I ended up with 5 RBs, and people will say, it wasn't fragile, you drafted 5 RBs. Hyper fragile is 3, maybe 4 tops. We had 20 rounds of DK. I like taking Jawar Jordan at the end. I mean, come on. At that point, we drafted 10 wide receivers. But trying some different things here and there. Making sure, just because I really like 0 RB, it's not the only thing I'm doing. We're going to grab Mark Andrews here. I think this is, I'm at 21%, obviously. But again, interestingly enough, and this has to do with us not having a lot of Justin Jefferson. We don't have Mark Andrews with Jefferson yet. So the draft hacker allows me to see that. There is a guy here that I probably would have liked to grab just as much as Andrews, but it's okay. And once he goes off the board, I'll say his name, because I don't think he's going to fall back to us, but maybe. That's right, Meatwad. That's exactly what they're going to say. It's not hyper fragile. He drafted George Jordan 20th round. Hyper fragile means you only draft 3 running backs. I've looked up the charts. I know what hyper fragile is. I know only 2% of drafters draft hyper fragile, but when you do it, you have to do it through the lens of this draft chart that I saw. Let's see. Yeah, I agree that Andrews for the run back, but sure. I mean, it's early. You can still get your bring backs if you want to set up a Buffalo thing. I get that too. You want to make sure you have that Buffalo piece. And he might have the draft hacker, right? Where he's looking at his thing where he's like, oh shit, I already have Nico, Diggs, Stroud with Andrews way more than I thought. So. The guy that I wanted to draft if I didn't take Andrews was Jaden Reed. I like Jaden Reed a lot. And I'm trying to make sure I have more Jaden Reed. Sort of was falling through the cracks for me a little bit because this 5th round, I'm grabbing Kincaid, Andrews, Kyle Pitts, right? So Jaden Reed was falling through the cracks for me a little bit, but I'm trying to make a concerted effort to be grabbing more Jaden Reed going forward. So those are things we're thinking through. And you can't fix everything in these drafts. You have to be very cognizant of what you're doing. God. Addison feels right here, but I'm gonna grab Addison. I really wanted to grab Rome there. I know he's not coming back, so I'm just gonna say that I was looking at Rome Odunze there. But getting the double stack in Minnesota, I haven't done it yet. And I didn't have Addison. Again, with guys that I have a high clip of, I didn't have Addison with any of them. So it made a lot of sense to grab him here. So that's what we did. Yeah, that's part of what I'm looking at Downs is I also like Jordan Love as one of my QBs, especially for certain builds. What do we have here? So we have Justin Jefferson, Debo, Devonta Smith, T. Higgins, Jordan Addison, and Mark Andrews so far as our team. At the moment, so we're entering round 7 with a 0-0-5-1 build. What is on the board right now? It's interesting that every single Jefferson team I've drafted has Joe Burrow so far. Let's push it. Let's grab Rashi Rice. Let's just get 6 wide receivers. So 0-0-6-1 build right now is how we're going to play this team. We're going to really push these other positions for the moment. I think it's fine to push here. The 2 spot got Rome, so they got CD, they got Davante Adams, Malik Neighbors, they went Travis Kelce, Trey McBride for that bully tight end, Rome Odunze, Brian Thomas. Yeah, that was a fun start to that team. I do like it. We're at Justin Jefferson, Debo, Devonta Smith, T. Higgins, Mark Andrews, Jordan Addison, and Rashi Rice, which I also like so far. We are seeing a lot of green on the board at the moment. Jameson Williams goes to get that. They're like, we got to get that one yellow out of here. Orange, yellow, whatever color it is. Some of us are colorblind. I see Swift, Curtis Samuel going. Coming back up on us in a few picks here. I was just looking at the player board, trying to strategize how we wanted to play our next pick. God damn it. I think we were good. I think the play was to push Burrow, but this guy just auto-picked Joe Burrow. If he wasn't auto-drafting, we would have gotten him, I think. We had the Jamar Chase drafter behind us, and we were just trying to push to the next pick for Joe Burrow. Didn't work out, but that's okay. We'll survive. If you're gonna give me Ramondre here, I'm gonna want to take him. I want to flip this, though. I want to grab Jordan Love. We are skating on thin ice here with the way we just played this. Ramondre is like generally the pick there. But I want to flip this in a certain way, so we're going to grab Jordan Love first. Knew we were going to lose out on Ramondre, but that's okay. How often am I taking Rashi Rice? That price still seems so hard to trust for no suspension. I'm grabbing as much Rashi Rice as I possibly can right now. He's usually my 5th or 6th wide receiver. What suspension do we hate? Like 6, 7 games? Yeah, it kind of sucks. But if you're doing it in a build like this, where we have Jefferson, Debo, Devonta Smith, T. Higgins, Jordan Addison, Rashi Rice is our 6th, or even if you didn't have Addison and he was your 5th wide receiver, he's coming in as that late season hammer, playoff guy, tougher on drafters, tougher on cumulative scoring formats. But in tournament style drafts, Rashi Rice, I think, is one of the best values in all of drafts at the moment. So I'll continue to hammer Rashi Rice. We are coming up on our pick in a second here. Just looking at the board to figure out how we want to navigate it. Brock Bowers going in the 9th here. Seeing a lot of red on my screen. Those are guys that I've drafted quite a bit of. You can kind of see how my builds are going, where we are doing some. We're doing a lot of 0 RB builds over here on Underdog. Najee goes. We would have grabbed Najee. I hadn't grabbed Najee yet, but I don't have Pollard with Jefferson or my round 3 pick. Let's grab Pollard as our first RB. I'm okay with it. Need to be very cognizant of some guys on this draft that I want to make sure I get in order to make this team make some sense. Jaden Daniels is another quarterback that I need to up my exposure on a little bit. Haven't been getting enough of him. So obviously not going to get him this draft, but another guy that as I'm drafting, I'm kind of making mental notes of guys, especially using the draft hacker here, where if it's a guy that I think I need to make sure I'm getting, that I grab. God, that was just the most simple explanation, but I think you guys know what I meant. Like, I just using the draft hacker to look at my percentage of the player. Like I said, I'm not grabbing a bunch of Nick Chubb. I'm at 3% on him, but when he falls, I think he makes sense for some 0 RB builds. Yeah, I mean, I have a lot of worries about Jaden Daniels, but I just want to make sure I have him. Like, I want him in the portfolio. Not looking to be 30% on him, but a bit overweight on Jaden Daniels feels good. We're going to be fine with any of our picks here. I like any of these RBs that are on the board that we can get. See Brian Robinson go. That's fine. Not sure what Logs will do here with his 1-3-4-1 build, so he could go a bunch of different ways. I really like Javante. Javante I don't have with a bunch of these other guys. He's a run back for T. Higgins. I'm a Javante guy this year. I think that he's capable of being one of the best picks on the board, especially for these 0 RB builds. So I'm grabbing a healthy percentage. Couldn't go B-Rob there because he ended up going a bit earlier, but he would have been one of these. I would have taken any of these 3 running backs here, Brian Robinson, Devin Singletary, or Javante Williams. I would have been fine with. Chubb I'm not grabbing yet. Chubb has to fall. When I say he has to fall pretty significantly. And then we grab him. But because he does, Chubb will fall in these drafts, and that's when I'm grabbing Chubb. We're going to have to be looking at the draft board in a second. Certainly a couple guys that I don't want to miss out on in here coming up. So we're going to make sure that we're cognizant of that fact. Also, something I'm trying to work my brain through is these running backs in the 8th, 9th, 10th round. Trying to make sure I get, obviously you saw my percentages, but just trying to mix and match them more efficiently going forward, making sure I get more combinations of those guys. And I'm wondering if pulling them up to the late 7th, because I'm not generally drafting Montgomery or Zamir White at the moment. Charbonnet was my pick here. I love Zach Charbonnet. He's one of my favorite picks on the board at the moment. So I would have liked to have gotten Zach Charbonnet, but that's okay. We're gonna be okay because we weren't gonna take him anyways. What we want to do here, you guys are making it really hard for me not to want to grab Dallas Goedert with my next pick. Come on, Biff. Bro, what are you doing? What a dick move. Come on, man. We wanted to grab Dontavian Wicks there. Son of a bitch. All right. Oh, let's grab Zeke as another running back. Where are you hearing that Singletary's losing his job to Eric Gray and Tracy? I'm not saying it can't happen because we were talking about Devin Singletary, but that feels like a weird report to have on June 2nd. And he could throughout the season. I'm going to take Devin Singletary. The dude always finds his way to stay on the field. That Dontavian Wick snipe sucked. Are you even setting up some Green Bay stuff? No? Cool. Does look like you need a receiver, so I get it, but that really sucked. Not great. Not great for us. But we persevere. Right now we are at a 1-3-6-1 build. With a naked Jordan Love. Also okay. We will overcome. Ricky Pearsall going in the 12th round. If that's the case, 0% for me. Not grabbing 12th round Ricky Pearsall. I can't do it. I cannot legally draft Ricky Pearsall. I think it's a law in Massachusetts that Ricky Pearsall is not allowed to be drafted in the 12th round or earlier to a 49ers offense that has a million pieces in front of them in a season that feels like he's going to get a little bit of run, but more so getting redshirted. We're going to have Marshawn Lloyd here. This goes with our Green Bay stack that we're trying to build out along with our Minnesota bringback. So we like that. Not hating the team right now. Not hating the team. Star Kindler saying Bo Melton, come on down. Maybe. It's a possibility, is what we will say. Definitely a possibility. But not a necessity. Gets ugly in the 12th round, huh? Like, I like Jalen Pogue, but 12th round? Woo. Jermaine Burton? Woo. These are some prices on these wide receivers. These are some heavy prices over on Underdog on these receivers. Seeing Jerome Ford go at the beginning of this round. Ty Chandler. Okay. Really like Jalen Wright, so I was considering him there. We're going to grab Luke Musgrave, though, as our tight end 2 to be done with tight end to finish this Jordan Love stack that we were building. So we do get Jordan Love with Marshawn Lloyd and Luke Musgrave with Addison and Justin Jefferson back. That feels like a fun way to stack that Week 17 game without getting too wild. I'd rather have Poke over Pearsall, personally. Yeah, Pearsall to me is also a dynasty play. I think next year is the Pearsall year. that offense will be making some changes. So, I mean, he could come on late. There's injury stuff, but we're talking, I think there's a lot of contingent stuff that has to happen for Pearsall to be overly relevant. Obviously, anyone in that offense as a whole is capable of spike week here and there. So he could hit, in the playoffs for sure, but it's my Austin Eckler theory, right? So we were talking about what we talk about in the lab on Tuesdays, and when Austin Eckler came up a few weeks ago, the amount of things that have to break right, it feels like, for Austin Eckler to be viable seems like a lot. I mean, we're doing a lot of what ifs instead of one what if. Like, let me think of an example here of someone we were talking about earlier. God, who were we talking about earlier? Isaiah Likely, right? So Isaiah Likely, what if Mark Andrews gets hurt? Well, then Isaiah Likely fully steps into that number 1 tight end role, could become the number 1 receiving option on the team. That's one what if. Ricky Pearsall is, what if this happens? What if this happens on week? Like, it feels like we're doing a lot of what ifs on Pearsall at the moment, which could change as camp goes on. Who knows? Might be almost, you just can't get him off the field type of deal. But for now, I'm just okay with not having Ricky Pearsall on my draft board for the most part. Let's look at running backs. We're at the point in the draft that I don't care about ADP so much, where I would just rather make sure I'm getting guys that I think are going to contribute to this roster on a 1462 build. I really like Bucky Irving. If I'm the reason he I'm not going to be the reason he does anything, but if I'm part of the problem of why he's flying up draft boards, I apologize, but I'm going to grab Bucky Irving there as my 5th running back. Summed up perfectly by Wheatwad. Yeah, it's not a player take on Pearsall at all. It's just we're banking on trade and injury. Niners run the least 3 wide receiver sets in the NFL and brought back Jaan Jennings, who they like as a blocker. Agreed. Which people forget about. I know like it's the whole haha Jaan Jennings thing, but 49ers like Jaan Jennings. You know, they signed him to a contract extension. And some of that's to open up money supposedly, but you know, I'm with the mind that they're going to want Jaan Jennings on the field at a decent clip doing what he does. I agree that it's like a next year thing. They got him in the first, right? They drafted him in the first round, so they get the 5 years. So they get to slowly, you know, get him used to the system. Oh, what's going on with QB here? These guys not have any? Okay, that makes sense. Tila, Stafford, Willows. Okay. Sure. Anyone play Red Dead 2 back in the day? Back in the day. Like it came out a long time ago. Great game. We don't need tight end at all. We are on the clock here. What do I want to do? Javon Baker, come on down as our last wide receiver. Take Javon Baker here. Certainly fine with that. 3 picks left. Just sort of looking through my team at the moment to see what I want to do going forward here. What are we saying? A strong Miles? We talk about so many things, I don't know what we're referring to on that one. Was it the Javon Baker grab? Was it the Pearsall take? Oh, the wide receiver room? Yeah, we got a pretty fun wide receiver room. I like it. We'll recap the team shortly for everybody. But yeah, this team's turning out to be a bit fun. We might be thinking that. Up to no good. Those might be the thought processes here. We are coming up on the clock here. We are on the clock. We are going to grab JJ McCarthy. If I did, actually, I have Godwin, right? I have Godwin. Hold on. Timeout. I have Godwin on this team, right? I don't have Godwin on this team. Let's grab JJ McCarthy. Why did I think I had Godwin? I thought I had Godwin for a second. Maybe we draft him on the last team. So if I had Godwin and Bucky Irving, then obviously the play would have been Baker Mayfield there. That's why we double check, especially when we're doing multiple draft. So grab McCarthy. We do have two quarterbacks from the same week 17 game, but I'm okay with it. Especially, like, I'm not a dome game bro by any sense of the imagination, but at least we know that game is going to be played in a dome for the two QBs, right? So I'm fine with that. I think that game can be a shootout. I'm fine with having both sides of that particular game. So we'll take JJ McCarthy. On this team. Got our last two picks coming up. I think there's a few ways we can play this. We're going to see what pops up here in a second. We're done at tight end. We're done at tight end. If I haven't mentioned it, we are done at tight end. We won't be drafting any more tight ends with Mark Andrews and Luke Musgrave on this team. Biff is just out here sniping more QBs. Seems like it's personal at this point, but I don't really care. I think I'm fine with the two that we have. If I really want a third, I could go with Baker Mayfield, who I do have Bucky Irving as the third, but I think I want to make sure that I grab CEH here. I missed my pick. Well, I mean, I had him started, so we're good. So I did want to get CEH to go with, who do we have for Pittsburgh? Didn't we have Pittsburgh? No? Am I making things up? What is our team? Oh, we have Rashi Rice. That's what it was. I knew we had some correlation with Clyde Edwards-Helaire, so I'm fine with having CH Rashi Rice here. Our two big team stacks are Green Bay, Minnesota, which I like. And we'll see how this last pick falls for us. This is one of those things where there's a lot of 3 QB builds in here with teams that just don't need 3 QB builds, which is kind of weird. I'm just messing around, Colin. I just don't know why you need a third QB personally when you invested the capital in a fifth round QB. But everybody does play different. I'm gonna pee. I mean, I'm gonna sneeze. I'm not gonna pee. Peeing would be weird. That's just my thing is, like, once I invest that 5th round pick in a QB, I'm relegating my team to 2 QBs. There is one exception there. That's just the way I've been playing. So everybody plays different. Everybody likes to do different things. My one exception to that has been Justin Fields and adding a third QB occasionally with Justin Fields. We are going to add Baker Mayfield. I mean, because how the hell do we not at this point? 18th round Baker Mayfield. I know that our stack is only Bucky Irving, but I'm talking 18th round Baker here. So that's what we're going with. Our team is Justin Jefferson, Debo Samuel, Devonta Smith, T. Higgins, Mark Andrews, Jordan Addison, Rashi Rice, Jordan Love, Tony Pollard, Javante Williams, Zeke Elliott, Marshawn Lloyd, Luke Musgrave, Bucky Irving, Javon Baker, JJ McCarthy, CEH, and Baker Mayfield. So our big stands for this one are Minnesota, Green Bay. They play each other week 17. We do have stacks on both sides of that game. Did grab that third quarterback with Baker Mayfield. He fell all the way to the 18th round. We only had Bucky Irving to stack with him, but when you get that kind of value on the quarterback at that point, when we're looking at 3 QBs, totally fine with doing something like that as well. Actually like that more than getting Drake May in that particular draft is what I will say. So that is the team. We've done 2 drafts. It is getting late. We are going to call it. Thank you, everyone, for joining us here on this Sunday stream. I will be here every Sunday this month, I believe. Yeah, I don't think I have to go away this weekend, any weekend this month. So we'll be doing these Sunday Sicko streams every single week. I'll catch you later next time here at Spike Week. Bye.
1, liftoff.
Woo! Those were some spicy takes. Want to stay up to date with all of the other spicy takes we're going to have over here at Spike Week? Why don't you press that subscribe button below? You turn notifications on, we draft a team, boom, you know about it. We have another spicy take, boom, you know about it. You can be there. You can draft with us. You want to stay up to date? That's how you do it. All right, we'll catch you later next time here at Spike Week.